Okay, it's drill video time, and today we're going to talk about press technique. There are several techniques that are deployed by players and coaches when it comes to press technique. Two of the major ones are hard press, which involves a kick slide and action right at the line of scrimmage. And then there is motor, in which the defensive back gives ground at the snap and then attempts to, in most cases, get his hands on the defensive back or on the wide receiver at some point later on in the route. Now, I have my preference when it comes to this. I prefer the hard press, but I also realize that there are coaches that will insist on one of these techniques or the other. And so to excel in the defense and also to get on the field, you're going to need to be able to execute the technique that the coach wants. Overall, though, I feel it is important for you to be proficient in both of these techniques, as it gives you an opportunity to have more than one tool in your toolbox. So on occasion, sometimes it may be beneficial for you to give ground at the line of scrimmage and catch and put hands on the wide receiver later on. And then there are times where it is best to try and make something happen, get hands, be physical right there at the snap or near really soon right after the snap at the line of scrimmage. So in being able to teach both of these, you allow the defensive back to perform both of these techniques in coaching, and that's what we're going to talk about today as we have our releases drill. In this drill, the defensive back is Madison Cone from Wisconsin. He's I believe, a redshirt sophomore, and you have sophomore defensive back Faion Hicks, who is playing the wide receiver in this one. So in the first clip, we are going to be employing a hard press technique, or actually we are employing the motor technique. And what you will see from Madison is he'll punch with one of his feet. In this case, it's the right foot. It's a false step, which, you've been told quite a bit as a defensive back, don't false step. But in this technique in motor, it is necessary. So in the fact that you have to do that means you're best to line up further back, because you're going to give a step back by that false step. So it doesn't make sense for you to be very close to the wide receiver, because when you make that false step, he's going to be on top of you right now. You're not going to be able to motor effectively and do any kind of mirroring on the route, because the receiver is going to be on you a little too fast. So in this technique, you're going to notice the punch with the right foot. He pedals back, allowing the receiver to get close enough to him, and then he's going to try and get a hand on him. All right. The receiver is exiting his frame, so he kick slides after that motor and will shoot that offhand. Now, in this particular case, I would have liked to have seen a better kick slide, but, when the receiver's coming at you full speed, sometimes that becomes difficult. He does give us one kick slide here, gets his hands on him, and widens the release. So I don't care whether you are using hard press or you are motoring, the objective is the same. And talking about the objective, you will notice that we're doing this drill right on the line. You see that blue line running right from Faion's foot through the middle of Madison. It's done on this line for a reason. It's to get the defensive back to understand that the wide receiver ideally wants to work his route along those lines. He wants to be able to push off straight on that line and then work his route from there, whether it's going deep. He'll run that line, and then by running that line, it allows space for him to let the fade ball drop in, or whatever route he has that's breaking off, he can run that blue line, the imaginary blue line, and he can break his route off, whether it's an out, a comeback, a slant, a dig. It's always beneficial for that wide receiver to work that line before he has to break off. So with that being the case, as defensive backs, it's in our best interest to move that wide receiver off that line as much as possible. So understanding what the wide receiver's objective is makes it easier and better for us as defensive backs, because we want to prevent him from being able to do what it is he wants to do. All wide receiver coaches want their players to work that imaginary blue line. And as defensive backs, it works out a whole lot better for us the further away from that blue line we could get him. So in this particular case, Mattison punches that right foot. He pedals out. He widens the release. You see how far the wide receiver has gotten from that blue line? That's going to always be advantageous for us as defensive backs. The further away we can move them off of stemming up that blue line, the better off we are. So in doing this drill, it is best for you to be doing it when you're starting off, doing it on the side of the field, coming off the sidelines, and using one of the yard lines to work on, just so you understand as a defensive back that you need to move the wide receiver off that line. You'll oftentimes see me doing release drills from off of the sidelines when I'm working with defensive backs, and I'm not training an entire defense. So use the sidelines, use the lines to for the effect of getting the wide receiver off the line. So one more time, let's just look at this whole thing. It's the motor technique. As a receiver exits, you're going to see the right foot punch. That's allows the defensive back to push and get out. He's pedaling. He's perhaps a little too wide. I prefer you pedal on the balls of your feet and keep your feet under your hips. But by and large, he did a good job here. As the wide receiver tried to exit, he kick slide, get a hand on him, and get him wide, and then we work from there. So that is the pedal technique. And now in this clip, you're going to notice that Mattison does not punch out right away. He does not pedal out. He's not motoring. He's trying to make something happen right here at the line of scrimmage. Not ideal technique, and this is not the technique that Mattison prefers. I should tell you that in advance. He prefers to pedal out, so this is a work in progress with him. However, he does keep his eyes low in this particular case, and he's kick slides, all right? Those are the good things that he's doing here. Keeps his eyes low, kick slides as the receiver tries to exit. He gets that offhand on him as he tries to exit his frame, and he's bringing the action right now. We're being physical with this wide receiver. Wide receivers don't want to get touched. We're touching this one, all right? Making him have to make a decision and get touched right now. It's irritating and it's annoying for them. But again, let's take a look. Remember what I told you the objective is. Whether you're motoring or you're hard pressing, you're trying to get this receiver off of this blue line. And that is exactly what is happening here by Mattison standing, holding his ground, and then kick sliding as the receiver exit. Look where the receiver has gone. Very far away from that blue line. Always advantageous to us when that is happening. What he could clean up in this particular rep is not getting his feet wide, because that makes it difficult for us to exit left and right. Fortunately, he's very athletic. From this stance, he was able to push off of that left foot and get into a very good kick slide and widen the wide receiver. That is the objective in this particular case. And the other thing that really helped him, despite the feet getting wide, are his eyes being down. So many defensive backs, the minute the wide receiver moves, you start looking at their face and chest. Mattison doesn't do that here. He keeps the eyes down, and you should know the name of my camp's All Eyes DB Camp, that the eyes are the most important. So though his feet aren't exactly the way we want him, his eyes being down helped him extremely here, and he did a lot of good things in this. He achieved the objective, which is get the wide receiver off of this blue line. It disturbs the spacing. It disturbs the room that the quarterback has to fit the ball in, and it also knocks off the timing of the route. So let's watch this in full speed. Gets hands on him, kick slides, pushes him out. So we're going to watch both of these techniques in full speed. Here's the pedal technique. Pedals out, gives a little ground, tries to get hands on him later, moves him away from the blue line. Hard press, we bring the action right now. Kick slides, gets him away from the line. And that's all that you really want to achieve. Whether you're motoring or you're hard pressing, the objective is the same. get that receiver wide, get them off of that line. Thanks for watching. This is, again, a very simple drill that you can employ. And you want to, if you can, work both of these techniques with your defensive backs. Give them the tools that they need to survive against more than just one type of wide receiver. Thanks for watching All Eyes DB Camp. Consistency breeds results. If you have any feedback or questions on this drill and these techniques, feel free to reach me, C. Wilson at alleyeysdbcamp.com. Again, thanks for watching.